All right, welcome everybody to our moon ritual today. Just checking in, everyone's feeling a little bit of that fatigue that's going on. I'll speak more to that and we'll move into it a little bit more, but why don't we start in a restorative posture so that we can kind of do our centering, grounding there, and then we can kind of come back together. We'll do a little tarot reading and move on from there. So there are lots of different restorative postures that you could choose to take. One that I've been really loving lately, especially if you are feeling quite fatigued, which is normal for this deep winter season, is the massage table or child's pose. So depending on the props you have, massage table has a soft prop like a bolster or a pillow, and then you'd have something underneath your forehead. If you have lots of props, maybe something under your ankles too. And then if you have your hot water bottle or sandbag or blanket or something like that, you could place it right over your adrenal glands, which is just kind of underneath the shoulder blades, this kind of mid-back region. Sometimes you can feel a little bit of tenderness there, especially if you are feeling exhausted or burnt out, which, yeah, if you're feeling that way, you're not alone, You can have your hands beside you. So another option is just to lay right down on your belly, especially if you don't have any props. It's just nice to be super close to the earth. Child's pose is a good option too if you're not wanting to put pressure on your belly, or if you have fewer props. You can still use a bolster for this, you don't need it. Just toes together, knees as wide as you like, and then settling into the shape there. Again, placing something, if you have something over that adrenal area back here, and just giving that a little bit of love. So a few different options, and if none of those work for you, you can lay on your side, you can lay on your back, you can be seated. We're just going to take a moment to kind of be in a little centering, grounding, meet ourselves as we are. So when you find your spot, go ahead and take a nice deep breath. And think of directing your breath into that lower half of your back ribs kind of area. And just take a moment to check in. So I know some of us have noticed how we're feeling today. We may not have had a chance yet. So let's just take a few breaths to meet ourselves here. To acknowledge the ground beneath your body. To acknowledge the land that you are currently on, which for me is Plains Cree and Blackfoot land in Treaty 6 territory. And noticing your relationship with that land. And part of what we're doing in this moon ritual practice is tuning in to the moon. And part of that for me is really about connecting to the land as well. It's this moment where we get to acknowledge how our human bodies are interconnected with the light and the dark and the warmth and the cold and the rain and the snow and the trees and our environment and our communities. It's a way of acknowledging how we are not just ourselves alone in the world, but actually how we respond to what's happening around us. And so we have this almost full moon. We just have a couple of days left in the waxing cycle. The full moon is coming on Monday. And we're also in this deep winter season, which is January, sort of coming out of the solstice slowly, and we'll start to see that shift in the light relatively soon if you haven't felt it already, but we're definitely still in that darker part of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. And so, you know, this moment is really, we're still building energy, but we're coming to the pinnacle of that. And a full moon is almost always really an energy of like, what am I ready to let go of? What am I ready to see the end of? What am I ready to create space for? And so, you know, coming out of this particular season, knowing that what happens next is spring, which is a whole different energy, right? We're not there yet, right? But we're knowing, it's sort of like we're starting to feel that that's coming. What do we want to release from this time? Or what are we still processing? That's sort of, I think, how it's coming up for me is what are we still processing? So we're just going to take another couple of moments to rest in this particular place. Not doing anything yet, not setting our intentions yet, but really maybe considering, like in your mind, if you want to, you don't necessarily have to think about it, but also in our bodies, energetically, setting an intention to release, to let go of something, and just to let that be okay. So I'm going to offer a little bit of tarot reading for the group today. And if you're feeling like you want to just stay where you are and listen, that's totally fine. I like to do this in a little bit of a participatory way. So I like for you to see the card and respond with it. So if you would like to kind of make your way slowly, gently back up to a seat, you're welcome to do that. So there's no rush. You can take a little stretch if you want. You can take a little cat and cow or stretch out your legs and just kind of lazily make your way back to a comfortable place where you can see the screen. So my cards wanted me to do a little bit of a spread today. There was a little bit of a story that wanted to be told. So there's more than one card. I'll try to keep it not too long, but there was a little story that needed to be told. So we'll focus particularly on one card for today, and then I'll add to it a little bit as we go. Okay. So this is the card that showed up for the energy of this almost full moon. And I'd love for you to just take a look at it. The card is called the Fates. Go ahead and take a nice, good look at that card. And what I'd love for you to notice, you don't need to have any experience in reading tarot here at all. Just notice what you feel or what you notice about the card, what comes up for you. And I would love to hear about it. So please feel free to unmute and speak up and just let me know sort of what comes up for you when you take a look at this particular image.
Uncertainty?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
There's an unraveling.
Absolutely.
Incompletion. It's incomplete.
Yeah. I'll just bring it in a little closer so you can see the different details.
The phrase that keeps coming to my mind is sort of just sketching or barely holding it together.
Yeah, barely holding it together.
But they're cutting, they've got scissors, so it's like they're doing it to themselves, even though it feels there's no control, but it's self-inflicted at the same time.
There's something too about like surfaces, like before they were cut, they would have looked like they were whole, but they're empty inside. So there's something about what's behind surfaces.
What's on their heads? There's a moon.
There's our full moon, which shows up appropriately here. And they've got kind of like little crowns.
There's
One
something
looks like
about there's something about connection here for me with the three of them so joined, and somehow I feel a sense of optimism and strength within all of those other words.
Mm.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with being unraveled.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Alone together, I don't know. There's something about the connection there for me.
It's like the pieces are all there, but they just, maybe they could, instead of unraveling, maybe they're coming together. Yeah.
They don't have arms.
They don't have arms, not all the pieces, but there are pieces that can't.
Yeah, they have, one of them has an arm and there's some hands down there, but yeah, this one doesn't have any arms. It's like, yeah, not all the pieces are quite present.
And they're very feminine in their shape and stately and reverent.
Yeah, there's a queenliness with the crowns that comes up here, I think. Yeah.
Are there scissors there? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, scissors.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love
strength, I was seeing some strength as well, and sometimes you have to come unraveled so you can put yourself back together, maybe stronger than you were before or differently than you were before, and the strength in numbers. So even the way it looks like if the woman in red had a full arm, it's almost like she's linked with the woman in black.
They're supporting each other.
Yeah.
In their incompleteness. Yeah.
They have reflection too.
The reflection, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I love everything that you guys have been offering to this card, that sense of uncertainty and unraveling, and maybe there's a good thing about unraveling, or maybe there's support there, or strength there. There's sort of that, what there's that question comes up of like, what can I control and not control? Like I'm unraveling, but I'm also sort of doing that to myself. And, you know, what sort of choices do I have within that? And these are all really beautiful pieces. The card is called the Fates. And I don't know if you guys know the mythology of the three fates, but it's based on, this particular image is based on the mythology of the idea that the three, I think it's Greek mythology, the three fates are there like deciding when they'll snip the ribbon of someone's life. So they're kind of in control of when your life ends, which is something we don't have control over. And it's related to a card that in the tarot is usually the Wheel of Fortune. So it actually, this is a different interpretation. It doesn't usually show up like this. It often you see like a clock or a world or something like that. But it's the same sort of idea that like the wheel of time is turning, like something is changing, something is happening. You know, there are things going on that we don't have control over. And so part of that question is really coming back to that, like, what do I have control over and what do I not have control over? Because things are going to happen whether I want them to or not, or whether I control them or not. This is definitely something that's been coming up for me lately, just around the pandemic and having a kid and, you know, everything. Like, can he go to daycare today? Like, I don't know, you know, there's a lot of like, wow, I have the urge to try to control this by like disinfecting everything or whatever, you know, the urge is to try to control, and then kind of remembering like, I can do what I can, but that's the limit of it. Like, I just don't have any control beyond that, you know, and there's a softening into remembering what I don't have control over at all, right? So that's really the energy of today is, you know, often if we're not really doing this in a divinatory way, but often when this card comes up, it means some change is coming. And for us, we might be thinking too about the changing of the light, the moving into the spring season, kind of coming out of the dark winter. What's that going to look like for us? You know, where are we going next in our lives? You know, that sort of question. But I think also everything you brought up around that uncertainty, but also that it's okay to be uncertain. Sometimes it's okay to not know exactly what's going to happen next, and to not over control, you know, like here's how I'm gonna handle it, or here's how I'm gonna feel. Like we actually just don't know, right? And we have to kind of let go of that a little bit. So I'm just going to offer the other cards that wanted to come up today just to fill in the story a little bit. And we'll go through them a bit more quickly because I know we're partly here because we want to do a little bit of yoga. But this is the card that showed up, but I ended up doing a past, present, future reading. So this is the card for the past, the Four of Pentacles. And this is really, you know, for me, the theme here is also that tenuous balance, that sort of feeling of like that someone said, barely holding it together, right? It's like, okay, I've got all the pieces and they're all exactly where they should be and everything is perfectly balanced, but there's something about that that's not quite right. Like there's something about that that actually, you know, either I'm getting really tense and tight because I'm trying to hold these things together, and like, what if I actually just let some of these things go? Or, you know, I've been holding things together in a certain type of way that is no longer serving me, and I'm ready to actually let things be a little bit unbalanced for a while so that I can find the new, whatever it is that I'm evolving into, right? So I'll just hold that up for another beat or two so that you can just, again, there's so much value in just kind of noticing how you feel about the card or what comes up for you. This one has come up in this class before, actually. Some of you might recognize it. And then finally, the future card. So this is really the one that I pulled kind of in with the energy of this particular group. This is the Ace of Cups. And I thought just what a lovely card. So again, if you sort of just take a look at like what comes up for you, what images arise for you, for me, it's definitely like beauty, playfulness, freedom, movement. And the Ace of Cups is really an indication of like a new energy, specifically around love, emotion, spirituality, connection. So it's kind of a reassuring card to get just with that story that like things are changing, you know, the status quo isn't working for us anymore. You know, it's time to start thinking about moving into a new phase. But this card, I think, just encourages us that like there is really beautiful, loving, connected energy that is going to be informing that change. So even if the change is challenging, even if the change is confusing or difficult, we do have access to hope and love. And, you know, I think support is something that came up, like support of community, of loved ones. You know, the Ace of Cups is a singular energy, but it's also not alone. Like the cups is really an energy of connection as well. So we do have that to bolster us in the process of moving through this change. Does anyone want to add anything just before we move into our practice about any of that?
It's a great selection of cards for today.
Yeah, is that resonating for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so let's move with it a little bit. So I'll invite you to come back into your child's pose. And I actually want to do a little bit of movement today. This week, we've been kind of working with this theme of nourishing flow, trying to kind of get the breath moving in through the body and circulating the energy, but in a way that's quite like loving and gentle. So nothing too crazy, but we're just going to see if we can get that breath to come in. Okay, so we're going to make our way into that child's pose or something like it. Maybe I'll, yeah, just like that. So toes together, knees wide. And just coming back into that shape of breathing into the back body, breathing into the adrenal glands. And for me this week, I've been kind of relying on my Ujjayi pranayama, which some of you might be familiar with, others might not so much, but it's basically just a deep breath in and out through the nose. And we're really lifting and widening the ribs as we inhale and gently connecting to the core as we exhale. So the idea for me here is like drinking in the breath, like drawing that breath into my body, because I do feel some of that deep winter fatigue, that sort of depletion, the burnout that a lot of us are kind of experiencing. We need to draw that energy back into our bodies through the breath. And I'm hoping here a really nourishing and loving movement. So just see what that deep drinking of the breath feels like for you right now. And then when you feel ready, you can come to your hands and your knees, and we'll take some cat and cow. So as you inhale, opening into a little bit of a back bend. And as you exhale, gently curling the spine. And again, just see if you can think about this as a way of almost massaging the breath deep into your tissues. And feel free to add on any intuitive movement here that you need. So circles or moving side to side. And really the practice that, I mean, it's always the practice that we're doing, but we've been focusing on this a little bit more this week, those of you that have been coming to my classes. It's really the connection of movement and breath together. So it's not that they're two things we're trying to mash together, but rather we're trying to remember that they have a natural relationship that actually we need to, if anything, get out of the way of. And then when you feel ready, we'll come into a downward facing dog. So you can tuck your toes, lift up your bum, but keep that intuitive movement going. So maybe bending one knee at a time or swaying the hips. And if what feels intuitive for you right now is stillness, trust that. Tiny bend to the elbows, hugging them slightly together. And then walk your feet to your hands, coming into a standing forward bend. And if you can, just allow your neck and shoulders to relax. Feel free to rest your elbows on your bent knees, especially if your lower back is on the sensitive side. If it feels good for you to hang down, feel free to do that. You can, again, bob your head or bend one knee at a time. Eyes could be closed. Okay, and then let's roll up. So leaning back into your heels, gathering belly in and slowly curling to standing. If that doesn't work for your back, feel free to bend your knees a lot, look forward and come up with a nice neutral spine. Collecting your shoulders onto your back. Okay, and we're gonna move into a flow and we're just gonna work with it and build it. So I don't want you to worry too much about what the shape is that you're doing, whether it's correct. Don't worry about that. Just see if you can get into the rhythm of your breath and just trust that your body will go where it needs to go. If anything hurts, of course, modify or change or just come right out of it. But we'll see if we can just get into kind of the rhythm of the breath, okay? So next time you inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. And as you exhale, dive. Halfway lift, draw your heart forward, shoulders onto the back. And melt over your legs. Bend your knees, look forward, sink your hips so that you can lift your heart all the way back up to the sky. And then hands come together at the heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, dive. Lengthen up halfway. And melt. Bend your knees, look forward, rise all the way up. Hands to heart. Beautiful. Reach the arms up to the sky. Dive to the earth. Lengthen up halfway. This time as you exhale, step your right foot back. You can have a high or a low lunge here. I'm going to put my knee down. Reach your arms up to the sky. And as you exhale, make a cactus shape with your arms. So you're bending your elbows and opening your chest. That's it. Inhale, reach up. And bend. Reach up. And bend. Beautiful, reach up. This time as you exhale, we're gonna come back to the top of the mat. So bring the hands down, gently step that back foot forward. Next inhale, heart lengthens halfway and melt. Bend your knees, rise all the way up. Hands to heart. So nice, reach your arms up. And bow. Lengthen halfway. And step your left foot back. You can do a high or a low lunge here. Reach the arms up. Bend the elbows. For 2. Nice. One more. Good. Reach up. Bring the hands down. Step back to the top of your mat. Lengthen. And melt. Bend your knees. Rise all the way up. Bring the hands together at your heart. Let's keep going. Reach the arms up. And dive. Lengthen halfway. Step your left foot back again. Bring down your knee. And this time straighten your front leg. Okay, you could put your hands on blocks if you like, or just fingertips on the mat is fine. Make sure you've got a little bit of a bend in your front leg. When you're ready, inhale, lift the heart, any amount, doesn't matter what this looks like. And as you exhale, just dip in a little bit. Do that 2 more times. So we're lengthening, filling the breath again. No rush here, take your time. Okay, and then inhale, look forward. As you exhale, bend into your front leg and step back to the top of your mat. Halfway lift. And fold. Bend your knees, rise all the way up. Hands to the heart. Good. Reach the arms up, inhale. And dive. Lengthen. Right foot steps back. Bring down the knee and straighten that front leg. Feel free to use your blocks if they're handy. Your back hip should be right over top of your knee. You can untuck those back toes if you want. We're taking about 3 rolling breaths here. So lengthening on the inhale. And melt. And take your sweet time, okay? Okay, from here, let's inhale, look forward. This time as you exhale, bring your foot back, so you're at the back of your mat. Standing on your knees, okay, toes can be tucked or not, just whatever's more comfortable for you. I'm gonna roll up, offer the heart to the sky. And then exhale, bring the hands down along the midline and place the forehead gently towards or on the ground. And then do that again. So we're rolling up, offering the heart to the sky. Maybe there's a bit of a back bend. Maybe none at all. And then exhaling and just offering that to the earth. Okay, we'll take one more like that. And then settle into child's pose. Take a moment. So if child's pose is feeling right for you, please stay here, okay? Those of you that are working with a little bit more of that full moon energy, like I want to keep flowing, I want to keep working this out, I'll offer you the option for a vinyasa. So you can come with me in that if you want to, but this is totally up to you. So if you're doing that with me, you would come up into your downward facing dog. And then come forward into a plank on or off the knees. And then lower down, probably all the way for this first one. Point the toes, roll the shoulders back, and lift the chest into a little cobra. And then return to downward dog, which is where we're all going to meet. So when you're ready to come out of your child's pose, come on up. And then we'll make our way back up to the top of the mat. So you can walk. If you are comfortable hopping gently, you're welcome to try that. And then we'll roll up slowly. So feel free to take a couple of breaths to do that if you like. It doesn't have to be just one. So leaning back into the heels and slowly curling up. Of course, if this doesn't feel safe, rise up any way that works for you. And take a moment just to settle at the top, to notice how you are in connection with the energy of the world around you. Okay, so we're going to keep moving into our flow. We're going to do a little wheel together. So this first part is a bit of a movement together. So we'll just sort of try to do it together. Soften your knees a little bit. Lean into your right foot. And then as you inhale, pick up your left hand and left knee. So the whole thing is coming up. And then you're going to step that left foot back into warrior two. So we're rolling open. Okay, take a moment to settle here, just getting your knee over top of your ankle. And then flip your right palm, reach up and lean back into an exalted warrior. Okay, inhale, straighten your front leg, parallel your feet. Let's interlace the fingers around behind the back. Hug them together, lift your heart, and then fold forward. You can keep the fists or not. Okay, so if you want to release the hands to the ground, that's fine. We're just going to be here for about a breath. Okay, inhale, and then when you're ready, release the hands to the earth if you haven't. Take a halfway lift, and as you exhale, turn towards the back of your mat, so that's towards your left foot. Come onto the ball of your back foot, that should be your right foot. Bend the knee a little bit, and we're coming up into a high lunge. Settle your shoulders. Okay, inhale, and then as you exhale, we're going to pull that back knee, right knee into the chest, hands to the fists. And then step down. Okay, and then we're going to do that wheel on the second side. So inhale, or on this, we'll keep going. Right knee and right hand lift on your inhale. And as you exhale, we're opening into warrior two. Good, then flip the left palm, reach up, lean back into exalted. Nice, straighten your front leg, parallel your feet, interlace your fingers around behind your back, press the fist down, lift the heart up, inhale. And as you exhale, fold down. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, gently let the hands drift down if they haven't come down already. Halfway lift as you inhale, turn towards your right foot, so back towards the front of your mat, through a high lunge, so onto the ball of the back foot, that back knee bends. Use an inhale to help you rise up. Settle your shoulders. Inhale, and as you exhale, fist to the hips, left knee into the chest. And then come to stand. Good. Okay, let's try that on the other leg initiating. So it's kind of, we're doing a little wheel here, yeah? So inhale, right knee and hand lift up. Exhale, step them open, coming into warrior two. Flip the left palm, come into exalted warrior. Then parallel the feet, interlace the fingers behind you. Lift the heart as you inhale. Exhale, fold down. Inhale. Exhale, let the hands come down. Then halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, turn towards the back of your mat, your right foot coming through that high lunge shape. Okay, set it up, wait for your inhale to rise. Settle as you exhale. Inhale again. And then on the exhale, fist to hips, left knee comes into the chest and stand. Good. Left knee and hand rise up and sweep open. Exalt your warrior, flip that front palm. Parallel your feet. Interlace the fingers, lift the heart, inhale. And fold. Lift the heart. Release the hands. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, turn towards the front of your mat. Inhale, high lunge. Settle, finding your balance. Inhale, and then fist to hips, bring the knee in and stand. Nice. Take a moment to feel that. Okay. And would you like to try that wheel one more time on both sides, just moving with the breath? Does that feel okay for you guys? Thumbs up? Yeah? Okay, and then we'll come down to the earth. All right, so let's just move with the breath. Again, don't worry too much about whether you're doing the correct poses, if you need to modify, if you're just reaching your hands back and not interlacing, it doesn't matter, okay? We're just getting into that feeling of the wheel of fortune turning, okay? So next time you inhale, left knee and hand rise. Exhale, sweep open. Inhale, lean back. Exhale, straighten and parallel. Lift the heart, interlace the fingers, or hook the thumbs, or don't. And fold any amount. Inhale. Release the hands. Halfway lift. Turn towards the back of your mat, towards your left foot, coming through a high lunge shape. Inhale, rise. Right away, exhale, pull that right knee in, fist to hips, and stand. Right knee and hand rise. Step open. Exalt your warrior. Parallel your feet. Lift the heart, fingers could be interlaced or not. And fold. Inhale. Release the hands. Halfway lift. Turn towards the back of the mat. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, lift up that left knee, fist to hips, and stand. Last cycle, lift the right knee and hand. Step open. Exalt. And parallel. Lift the heart. And fold. Lengthen. Release the hands. Half lift. Turn towards your right foot. High lunge. Left knee comes in, fist to hips. And stand. Last time, lift that left hand and knee. Step open. exalt, and parallel. Lift and fold. Inhale, release the hands. Half lift, turn towards the left foot. High lunge, bring the knee and the fists in, and stand. Place a hand over your heart and a hand over your belly, and take a moment just to feel that. Beautiful. Let's come down to a seat. So any way you want to do that is perfect. Okay, and I'm going to offer a little hip opening forward bend just to close and start to cool down the energy to move in towards our reflection meditation. So you may want to sit on a little piece of support. I love a hip opening forward fold today. I find that that's really helpful for kind of nourishing that fatigue feeling that can come up sometimes. So especially sort of depending on if you're feeling energized or exhausted by the flow, just noticing that, that's fine. So I like to start with the legs out straight. I'll mirror you for this part. So left ankle, sorry, it said mirror and then I did the wrong thing. Right ankle to left thigh. And then you can bend that up. Okay, option to stay here. The fingertips are just behind you. You're pressing your heart towards your shin, just getting that nice, juicy hip opening. Or some of you might find that you like to stack the shins and take that forward fold. Okay, so it's not for everybody, for every day. I often like that one, but actually I'm feeling like this is where I want to be today for my particular hip. So just wherever works for you. And then let's gently rise up. If you're folded, release the legs. You can give them a little shake, or sometimes a windshield wiper is really nice after a hip opener. And then we'll come to the second side. So left ankle to right thigh. Doesn't matter which side you're doing first, we're doing both. And then bending at that knee until you feel a little release, a little stretch. That might be rocking. You might find that you quite like to stack and fold. And then gently rising up. If you're folded, unwinding. And again, we can take the windshield wipers. Okay, and then we'll take one last fold before we really settle towards the earth. So I like this one, soles of the feet together, knees open wide. But if you have something in mind that you feel like you need to close, feel free to do that, okay? So I like to do this one in a little bit of a special way. So I've got my heels a little bit away from my hips, and I'm actually gonna start by rolling my head. So you can let your chin drop and then just roll your head gently from side to side. And then you can include your shoulders and upper back. So you're just kind of not isolating the stretch in the neck, but kind of allowing it to initiate some more of the spine moving. And you can start to dip forward as well. So we're kind of Massaging into the back as well as the hips here, just dipping a little further with each turning of the wheel. Just seeing how that's feeling for you. If there are places where you're feeling like you want to pause. Maybe you want to come right down through center and take a few breaths there. Taking one more breath wherever you are. And then when you're ready, just gently rolling up through center. You can draw the knees together and again, take those windshield wipers. And then we'll move into our reflection. So you can do this seated, like as a seated meditation. You can do Shavasana and just stay in Shavasana for a while. You could also take another yin or restorative pose that you like. So massage table is great, the one that we started with. Or you might feel like you can turn your heart open and open the chest a little bit. This is quite a nice one to rest in. So you could take a bolster or a cushion or a rolled towel or something like that behind your back, behind your shoulder blades, depending on how big your prop is, and just allow the shoulders to kind of drop to either side. And we'll take some time to just be in the reflection. And again, some of the themes that we're working with right now are the turning of the wheel of fortune, which is another way of saying change. Noticing where we have been white knuckle gripping the things we think we can control. And trusting that if we let go a little bit, if we unravel a little bit, if we allow ourselves to not be whole for a little while, that there will be support there, there will be new energy, there will be a return of the light. So a question here might be, what am I holding on to a little too tightly that I could let go of right now? You may, from here, like to transition into a full Shavasana, maybe a little bit of journaling if you want to write down some of the things that are coming up for you if you haven't already been doing that. We'll take a few more minutes to be in our quiet contemplation, and you can take that the way you need it. If you're not sure what you need, Shavasana is usually a pretty good choice. So that just means resting. It means laying a really comfortable position and just receiving the work that we've done today without any effort in particular. Take a moment just to notice what's happening for you right now. How you are receiving the work that you did today, whatever that may have looked or felt like. And perhaps it would be useful to distill down today's reflections into a word or a phrase that you can keep with you to continue to digest. And when you're ready, you can start to deepen your breath and bring some small movements into your body. If you're laying down, maybe eventually you're curling over and onto one side so that you can gently press yourself up to a seat. And then place your hands somewhere that works for you. So I've got my palms over top of my heart. Hands could be together over the belly, whatever works for you. And take a moment just to bow to yourself, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge the work that it took to show up to your practice today and to be in the state of connecting with everything that you're feeling and reflecting on whatever it is that's happening for you right now. Honoring and acknowledging the long and complex lineage of teachers that is with us in our tarot, in our yoga, in our meditation. Honoring and acknowledging the lands that we practice on. And honoring each other as well, in all the ways that we're already interconnected. Thank you for sharing your ritual and your practice with me today.